Hey YouTube, thanks for stopping in. So a lot of you guys have been asking for me to do an update video, so that is what we are going to be doing today. I don't really have anything that is just opening up. I do have a lot of plants that are in spike, in bud, so we will be looking at those, but mainly my plants are just waking up, just coming out of their sort of rest, not necessarily dormancy, because I do keep a lot of my orchids consistently moist throughout the year. They just get less water in the winter time. So a lot of them are starting to wake up and work on new growths, which is exciting to me, maybe not exciting to anybody else, but whenever I see a new growth, I get equally excited as when I see a new spike. So we're going to be looking at all of my orchids that are waking up from their winter rest. So let's start on this side because, we can. This is my Brassivola cuculata, and it loves being in this little cachet pot. As you can see, the roots are nice and green, which means it's getting enough humidity because those green root tips, if it wasn't getting enough humidity, they would actually shrivel up. They might turn black or brown. So if you have growing root tips and you see a black or brown coloration, it might mean that the roots are not getting the adequate moisture that they desire. I think I'm beginning to like my mounted orchids the best out of all of the orchids that I have because I just love the unique way that they wrap their roots around their mount. I think it's so natural looking and just aesthetically pleasing. Unfortunately, it's super hard to keep them adequately moisturized, so I probably won't add too many more mounted plants to my collection, but I definitely appreciate the ones that I do have. One is my Peristeria elata, and it lost its leaves a couple days ago, and the bulb, it looks really plump. I've been keeping it moist. I do let it dry out. I have no idea how to properly care for this one. I can't seem to find consistent cultural information about this orchid. Some people say it's not supposed to lose its leaves. Some people say to keep it dry. Some say to keep it wet. I have no earthly idea. So if any of you have successfully grown this orchid before, let me know down in the comments below. How do you grow your Peristeria elata? I'm kind of just flying around with my eyes closed with this one. I figure if it dies, it's a lesson learned. I'd rather not lose it though, because it is supposed to have really, really pretty blooms in the springtime. So if I can keep it alive and get a spike out of it, that would be really, really nice. So it looks like it's doing well. It's not turning brown or yellow, or it doesn't look dead. It just doesn't have any leaves. I don't know if that's what is supposed to happen or not. Okay, moving on from the Peristeria to my Paphiopedilum, which is still in bloom. Okay, there we go. The lighting is really crummy, and I tried to pick a day that was sunny to do this update, but unfortunately we haven't had like any sunny days within the past week, so I kind of got tired of waiting, and I know that you guys were looking forward to an update, so I apologize for the crummy lighting. But this is my Paphiopedilum pisca raisin. Oh my gosh, I love this orchid. Just all of the minute details from the little hairs here on the petals, and then the little bumps on the petals, and the pouch, which is this dark, dark maroon color. It is absolutely beautiful. I love this orchid. And the nice thing about Paphiopedilums is that their blooms last for quite a while. This one is my very sad Cattleya rescue. As you can see, no viable roots under the older pseudobulbs, but the newest pseudobulb here that is forming has some beautiful green root tips coming out. This is my Stanhopea Stevensonii that I got from the Carter and Holmes open house, and the new lead it was growing, I made a big boo-boo. I got some water in between the sheath and the new leaf that was forming, and it actually rotted out. So I'm hoping it'll form a new lead. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I can't believe that I did that, so I was kind of sad about that. Next, we are looking at my Maxillaria variabilis. I showed you guys the bloom on this one, which I was pretty disappointed was not black like I had anticipated, but it is a seed-grown Maxillaria, so the colors are very variable. So, unfortunately, mine was a maroonish with a yellow throat color. Still pretty, but not what I was expecting, so I'll have to get myself one of those black flowering Maxillaria variabilis, but it does have lots of new growth on it, as you can see, lots of little green guys coming out of there. Another one of my rescues, this is Layla Cattleya Gila Wilderness by Cattleya Horace Maxima. He is a rescue that I picked up from my local orchid society. He's not really doing anything, but you can see his nice little white root in there. Next one is a Noid Cattleya that I picked up at my local garden center. They, from time to time, will have some really nice Cattleyas, but they don't ever have any names, which is unfortunate. I picked it up for $10 though, so I figured, what the heck, I'll try and grow it. It was just sitting there on the clearance rack, so picked him up, and he is maturing this beautiful new lead here. So hopefully I will get to see what the blooms look like. The tag that came with it actually said it's a yellow with purple throat cattleya, so who knows what that'll actually look like. Next one here is the one that I purchased from my local orchid society from one of the vendors that was there, John's Island Orchids, which you can see there. This is one of his own cultivars. It's Maxillaria Porphio Stelli John's Island. It's a really cute yellow flowering Maxillaria. And I know Maxillarias aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I think they are so cute. And they're compact, as you can see, fits in this nice little pot. And the bloom spikes are short, which is great because I tend to knock over a lot of my plants, elbowing them, what have you, and some of the longer spikes always seem to break off, but the Maxillarias have these cute stubby little spikes, so they're less likely to be knocked over with an elbow or a flying fist or, you know, a roundhouse kick. So yeah, I love Maxillarias for their blooms, and they actually are fragrant, so they're just cute little grassy kind of orchids. Next one on our update journey here is my Cattleya gaskeliana Color Spot by Gaskeliana Charm. I was very skeptical about this plant recovering because the pseudobulbs were so shriveled. If you can see these pseudobulbs, oh my gosh, they are almost paper thin. They're very sad looking. And it didn't have any new growths. It didn't have any roots that I could see when I disturbed a little bit of the potting media. And over the last couple of months, maybe over the last month of January and February, it's been growing 2 new leads. So it has this larger lead here, and it also has a lead on the other side, right there. And these very, very tiny, almost oncidium-like roots. Really tiny roots for a Cattleya. But it has these tiny little roots here, and oh, there's a little green root tip right there. So I'm very hopeful. I think this one's going to make a full recovery, especially with 2 leads growing. I wasn't expecting that. Wow, okay, so we're not even done with the top shelf yet. So let's keep going. Last one for the top shelf here is my Wendy Tanaka Volcano Queen, and I actually repotted this one recently. I had it growing in sphagnum moss, but I switched it over to a bark. I'm guessing that this sheath blasted. I don't think it's going to bloom. Maybe it will. I don't know. But anyways, I repotted it. I did a repotting video, but I didn't post it. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I do so many repotting videos with you guys. I feel like I'm being redundant here. But anyways, so I repotted it into Orchiata bark mix, and you can see all of the lovely new roots that it's growing. So I'm very, very excited for this one. Hopefully I'll get a bloom out of it this year. Goodness sakes, bloom already. This is one of my smaller Maxillaria tenuifolias. This is one I picked up off the clearance rack at Lowe's, and it's making this new growth here. All of the pseudobulbs have one. I don't know if it's a spike or not. I've never been able to get my maxillarias to bloom because I either didn't give them enough water or I didn't give them enough sunlight. And this year I've just been bombarding them with sunlight and plenty of water. And now that they're putting out these, I am trying to remember what the new growths looked like last year. I don't remember if they looked like this or if they looked different. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think that this is. Okay, we can finally move to the next shelf down. Here we have my Epilella Jackie Bright. It is making a new bloom spike here. I'm super duper excited. This one will be a first bloom for me. I've never seen it bloom. I got it a few years ago at Lowe's off the clearance rack. Wow, I feel like I'm saying that a lot. Anyways, so I'm very excited. It looks like a cluster bloomer. As you can see, it's making all of these little buds at the top of the spike there. So I will keep you guys updated on the progress of this one. New growth on my Odontobrassia, what is this one? Pisca Recluse. So new growth there, which is awesome. I love new growth. And there is a new growth on my Miltassia Charles M. Fitch Izumi. This one has actually taken a very, very long time to recover as well. I got this one off the Lowe's clearance rack, of course, and it had no new growths. They all looked shriveled and gross, and this plant looks dead if you look at it, just this half here. It looks dead, but actually it is alive. It had these green leaves, and that's why I decided to even try to revive the orchid. As you can see, this older pseudobulb here, very, very shriveled. This is pretty much what it looked like when I picked it up off the clearance rack, but I figured for $1, I might as well give it a go. It's been a really, really long recovery for this one, though. Last year, did it put out this growth here, and then the start of this year, it put out this newest growth here, which is looking a little wrinkly. I don't keep up on the watering with it like I should. It's hard to because all of the watering has to be done with these roots here that are coming out of the leaf axis there. So all of the roots have to be watered there. It's just a very awkward situation. I keep the sphagnum moist here because I want to give this plant extra humidity, as much as I can anyways. So here is my larger Maxillaria tenuifolia, and like I said, I've had it for a few years and it has never bloomed for me because it's taken me a few years to figure out how to grow these things. They're just very picky about their water and their sunlight, and if they don't get it, well, guess what? They don't bloom. So here in between the leaf and the pseudobulb, you can see that little red growth. Here it is. I don't know. It's a different color, so I want to say spike, but I don't know. It seems like it would be a new growth. There's these little grassy growths down here. Those might be spikes. I have no idea. Like I said, this one's never bloomed for me, so it'll be a surprise. Next one over here that I'm definitely not watering enough is my mounted Schomburgia thompsoniana, and it has been growing this new lead for ever since I got it, really. It started out as just a little nubbin, so it's probably grown a lot since the last time that you guys saw it, so hopefully I will get a bloom out of this little guy. Down here on the windowsill, we just have my little keiki, the Dendrobium kingianum, which is growing its 2 spikes there. I'm so excited. I will move to the other side of the shelf after I get to these ones here on the bottom. I'm over here anyways, so might as well. Okay, so we have all of my catasetums that are in their active growth. Actually, I take that back. These are just the ones that I've repotted. I keep these ones over here because I haven't repotted the other ones. I've definitely been slacking. Oh, over here, we've got 2 new growths on this Catasetum, which is the Catasetum veroni. It was a very strange growing year for Catasetums. None of mine were really behaving like they usually do. So Anyways, I'm excited anyways. I really did want to see this one bloom though, so that's kind of unfortunate. But hopefully with these two new growths here, I'll see some in the fall. It still has its leaves, some of them anyways. Some of them dropped off, some of them are still there. So, like I said, a weird growing season for some of my catasetums. This one, oh, this was the one that suffered from a bacterial infection, occurred at the top here and spread all the way down. So in order to save this piece here, I cut off that infected one, and it is making a comeback. Yay! So this is my Catasetum denticulatum by Mormodi's Ignium Red Lip. This is Clowesia Elena Lawson by Catasetum frilidoris, making its new growth there. Did a repotting video with you guys on that one. This one's kind of hard to see, but it is my Catasetum sanguineum by Susan Fuchs, working on its new growth there. And another new growth. This is my, what are you? I think it's my Jumbo Longin. I don't know, I can't see the tag. But it is working on its new growth there. And then when you turn it around, you see the two other new growths on the other side. So this one's working on 3 pseudobulbs. He's a go-getter. And this little beauty, which is my second, oh wait, I actually have 3 orchids in bloom currently. Okay, so this is my Dendrobium Love Memory Fizz. I love this orchid. It smells so incredibly fragrant. Just sitting down here showing you guys all of my catasetums, I've been smelling it the entire time. And I was really sad because I wanted to make this awesome video for you guys about all of the blooms that it has made. But unfortunately, the cane that was the most heavily laden with blooms ended up snapping off. And when it was sitting on the windowsill, a huge gust of wind came and knocked it off and broke off this cane here. So unfortunately, I lost the cane with the most blooms on it. I was really, really sad. So I'll do a video on this one sometime, maybe next year. I'm just hoping for a better show. I feel like I'm gypping you guys by showing you, it doesn't even have all of its blooms open yet. Still some buds at the top. And this one suffered some damage as well. Those buds broke off. So I feel like I'm, giving you guys a raw deal by, it's not as impressive as the other Dendrobium nobiles on YouTube. So I don't know, but I still love it. It still does have, quite a lot of blooms. It's just not as magnificent as I was hoping to show you guys. So down here on the bottom, we have my Phalaenopsis, which is in spike. And while I'm here, I guess I'll show you the rest of my Catasetum collection here. Wow, there's a lot that needs to be repotted. I had one of you guys that asked me for an update on the Catasetum that suffered a bacterial infection. This one was in the video that I showed where the older bulb had suffered a bacterial infection, and in order to save it, I cut it off and I forced this one into dormancy. So as you can see, it is nice and firm, albeit a bit shriveled, but it is still alive, and that's all I care about. By cutting away that rotting bulb, I was able to save it. Unfortunately, I have had bulbs that have perished because I didn't cut away the rotting bulb. So let me see. This one looks really sad, but I promise it's healthy. That's the thing about catasetums. Everybody thinks they look ugly whenever they're in their dormant phase, but I think they're so cute and handsome, and that's why they are my favorite genera of orchid. I love catasetums. You guys know that. Okay, so here we have my Catasetum lavena, and that little green thing right there is the new growth. And over here, new growth on this guy. Probably need to repot him. I'm being lazy. Catasetum Portuguese Star, Brian Lawson Sunrise. Wow, that's a long name. And Catasetum Susan Fuchs Burgundy Chips. I like Catasetum Susan Fuchs. I have a couple of that cross with that orchid in it. This is my Catasetum Jumbo Longin, and he is making his new growth there. Next Catasetum here is my Fred Clark After Dark, and Catasetum pileatum, imperial something. Oh, green gold. Catasetum pileatum green gold. And it is making its new growth here. And it's pretty far up on the pseudobulb here. And I just pulled it out of the dormancy area, the north-facing room. So that's why the growth here is really whitish looking. This one here, I love this guy. He has such a portly pseudobulb. It's like a beer belly. It hangs over the side of the pot. So I definitely need to repot him. He's got his new growth coming in right there, that little green speck. This is my Catasetum Sheriff Frank Drew, and you can see his little bitty roots coming in there. This one is my Mormodia Painted Desert by Catasetum Mark Dimmitt, and he's making his little growth right there. This is my Catasetum Fred Clarkaria After Dark Amazing by that Sycnoches that I don't like pronouncing, and his new growth is right there. Look at all the roots hanging onto those little packing peanuts. This is my Fred Clarkaria Enter Light, and I can probably take that leaf off. Let's see here. Maybe not. Well, I guess it doesn't want to come off. Anyways, it is making a new growth right there. So that's the rest of my Catasetums. I didn't show you all of them because not all of them are in active growth. Like my big Angraecum there, you can see how big he is compared to the little tiny pseudobulbs of the Catasetums. And then my big Cattleya, I need to put her outside because she needs all the sunlight that she can get for new growths. This is my Cattleya Brabantiae by Schomburgia tibacinus, and I just made that label for it, but it is growing a new lead right there. So that's where all these roots are coming from. I have no idea when this guy is going to bloom because I purchased it as a seedling, and it's grown quite a bit since I purchased it, but it's probably going to be another 2 to 3 years before I actually see any blooms off of it. Okay, we're finally getting to the other half of my second shelf. This is an Angraecum, a Paphinia, Angraecum. They're not really doing anything. Another Angraecum, this is my Germanianum, I believe, and a Bulbophyllum right here, huge Bulbophyllum. I need to repot him. He has these growths coming off the side, so he definitely needs a repot, and I probably should water him more. I just forget, so that's why his pseudobulbs are so shriveled and sad looking, but yep, this is my Bulbophyllum War Youth White Fang, so it kind of looks like a Medusae Bulbophyllum. I love it, so cool. Last one on the second shelf is my SLC Pat Thrall, and it is working on a sheath. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but that is a sheath inside of there. So I'm very excited to see this one bloom again. I got it from the Kentucky Orchid Show last year. Okay, and now we are moving from the 3-tiered shelf over to my side table growing area. So let me just move this side table and we'll take a look at those plants that are closest to the window. A lot of these are rescue plants. They're the ones that I picked up from my local orchid society, and I am slowly reviving them. So if they look like poo, that's probably because they've been treated like poo. So anyways, this one, wow. This one is my Layla Cattleya Briarleys Fairy Summer Spice. This is the new lead here, and it has these nice healthy roots, but as you can see, it did suffer some neglect in the past. The one I recently purchased, which is the Diacattleya Chantilly Lace Twinkle, I cut the bloom spike off of it because it was fading. That thing probably lasted a long time, so I'm excited whenever this one blooms again. That way I can really enjoy the full life of the blooms. Okay, so we have this rescue plant here. This growth tried to grow, but it never actually took off. But this growth back here is doing fine. This one is my, what is this? Cattleya Swan Lake Cimarron Valley by Cattleya Wow, Memoria Palti Yamada Mendenhall. Really, really long name. I have no idea what this one's going to look like whenever it blooms. This is my Cattleya caguas ruby. It's working on new root tips, but it's kind of hard to see. This one blooms consistently off of each new lead. Just showing you one of my rescue plants again. We just looked at it. It's the summer spice, but I thought it was really cool that this root right here it's a fused root. So it's one root, as you can see, it's one, but then it has two growing tips. I just thought that was really, really cool. And I think this is like the official flower orchid of YouTube. This is the Moniera Millennium Magic Witchcraft. I feel like everybody has this one, which is really cool because it is the black orchid. This one, as you can see, really, really big. And I love it because it's happy or seemingly happy, all of the happy sap here, which is just, it's like orchid sap. They excrete it when they're rapidly growing, and that usually happens when they're really, really happy. So you can see all of the roots in there, and I keep it in this cachet pot to make sure that it's getting enough humidity because catasetums really, really need lots of humidity. This is another Noid Cattleya that I picked up at my local garden center. They don't name their Cattleyas for some reason, but it is working on new roots, so you can see the new roots going on there. So hopefully it'll throw out a new lead, and hopefully I'll get to see what this one looks like when it blooms. And this one over here is my Brassoleila Cattleya George King Southern Cross, and it is working on a new pseudobulb there. Has lots of roots coming out every which way. It loves this pot. One of my rescues that actually just opened up this new lead here. It used to be closed up. So it is now open and lots of nice healthy roots, especially this long green one over here. This is my Elsie Carl Boynshine, wow, by Mendenhall, by Elsie John Mossman Lines KT9X. Weird name. This one is my very large, this is the one we repotted together. It is my BLC Green Dragon. And it is actually in bud. There's actually, if you can, wow, the lighting is terrible. So here you can see the little bump down there at the bottom. I can't get the shadow to show up right on the camera, but there is a little bump down there, so hopefully it will be blooming soon. This one's probably the saddest orchid I have, but it actually has a new growth right here, which is all purple. Very cool. It's another one of my rescues. I think 90% of my collection is rescue orchids, seemingly anyways. Which one is this one? I think I'm excited for this one. Well, I'm excited for all of them. LC Mishima Luster Jean.